Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Into the Ether podcast, where we bridge the intersection of health, human behavior, and machine intelligence. I'm thrilled today to introduce the CEO and founder, Roland Sandström, from GHN Pharma, a global group of companies bridging scientific innovation with local hands-on pharmaceutical and patient access solutions. To start, can you introduce yourself and tell us how your career led into GHN Pharma and what drew you to the global network of networks model in life sciences?
Well, since I left the university when I was 29 years old, I've been working within the pharmaceutical area. So this is first as a part of the media group you probably know about, where I ended up as the CEO. Then I've started three groups of pharmaceutical companies, and every time when I've sold the group, I tried to retire, but I'm failed totally because the pharmaceutical area and the healthcare sector is so very interesting. And during these almost 50 years I've been in this area, there has been such a dramatic change from the beginning where you really didn't have too much technical equipment, big sales force, big companies. All the specialist knowledge was locked in the big pharma companies. And you transported documentation, you transported everything more or less in big lorries. I mean, today it's coming via your computer, but we didn't have the computers. We didn't even have the small phones. So everything was manual. And it meant that to start a new pharmaceutical company was really difficult. It was only meant for the big companies. If you take that situation and take it up to today, it's so much easier. The experts needed when you develop pharmaceuticals and pharmaceutical companies is open everywhere. It doesn't matter if a guy or a girl I need to talk and be helped by is sitting in Buenos Aires or in Melbourne or in the office next to mine. Really doesn't matter because they are always present and the knowledge is available when I need it. Doesn't mean that today, starting a company, you don't really need to hire hundreds and hundreds of people because you buy, you say, deliver in time. It's there. The knowledge are there. So even a small organization are able to do absolutely the same as the big company, as the big pharma, and sometimes much more effective. You know, in big company, I don't know if you ever been working in one of the big companies with levels. So information is going from the bottom to the top. It has changed. And when it goes from the top to the bottom, it has changed again. And everything takes time. You have levels where everybody is trying to preserve their power, their work, their ideas. And every new modern change is a threat. So the best way to handle threat is to do nothing. And that's why Big Pharma today is very slow. Big Pharma is not doing very much research themselves. It's research by small companies, very innovative companies. And Big Pharma is buying their research, maybe bring them in for a time and then put them out. They are not really doing production because they can rent production facilities all over the globe when it's needed. They really use consultants and smaller companies to do the marketing. So to be very, bring it to the end, the big companies, the big pharma companies are big banks today. They have more money than the small companies. But there are banks who can do that for the small companies. So that's a very big change from when I started, where the only possibility to work within pharmaceutical was with the big companies, until today, where you can start a company and you don't need enormous with people. You have the help of artificial intelligence. You don't need to pay expensive legal consultants. Of course, you need them now and then, but you could be helped by OpenAI. You don't need a lot of people in the marketing department doing plans that the salesperson don't understand because the people in the marketing department just coming from the university have learned all the wonderful ideas. The salesperson is meeting the customer and they're not always matching together. You don't need these big, very costly departments. You can use artificial intelligence. You can be helped by that. And you can save a lot of people. Administration, economy, the finance. OpenAI can do it for you. The logistic plans. It's open for to be helped by international artificial intelligence for ChatGPT. You can talk to them. You have a personal assistant. You can be helped by writing
Yeah.
the letters. You can have a big and a meeting, and 2 minutes after the meeting, you have a full report, which took hours to do before. So, I mean, again, you can do everything that the big companies can do, but you can do it faster and smarter today. That's amazing. On the other side, pharmaceuticals are coming faster. I mean, the process, a pharmaceutical product takes a long time from the idea to the market. And one reason is, of course, the enormous amount of data that has to be discussed, treated, and coordinated. People can do it, but it's need a lot of people to do it. It takes long time. Instead of 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, you can do it in months with the help of artificial intelligence. So the process from the idea to the final product goes much faster than it used to do. And that's very interesting. And of course, it also means that you can find medicine needed in the special areas much faster, which is good for the
Hmm.
I mean, when I talk about rare diseases, orphan diseases, maybe the market is not huge, but today with the new technique, you can come with new products faster than before. So that's very interesting. Indeed, very regulatory process is still needed, but all the material around the development of programs goes faster.
Yeah.
And
No, amazing. And
yeah, look at how quick it goes. Look at the Novo, the diabetes medicine, which is today a medicine for obesitas. Suddenly, in just a few years, had a new market with a substance originally meant for a completely different disease, like diabetes. Today, the biggest of that product is for the obese, which is a huge problem all over the world. Of course, obesity causes other diseases. So again, things happening very quick. It's only 1 or 2 years. And then other
yeah.
companies can do the same. They use the artificial intelligence to make a Me Too product. So the competition is faster. You have a new product. In the old times, it could take 5, 6, 7 years before you had a competition in your area. Today, you're talking 1 year, 2 years, and then new products is coming, can do the same as the original substance, and with the help of artificial intelligence, probably can do it better. So everything gets faster, faster, faster. So the big companies, it's becoming to be too slow.
Mhm. Yeah. No, amazing. That's yeah, very fascinating. I think there's a lot of interesting points there. The fact, do you think that because of the AI progress, there is the gap between the SMEs and the big pharma companies are closing? Or do you think by the time that the SMEs get to the point where they might become a big pharmaceutical company, they're bought up, as you mentioned, by the big pharma companies, or that they have no interest of going to that level because of the regulatory strain that that might put on them?
You can see they are working together with smaller companies doing their marketing today because it goes quick. But I mean, even marketing is different. It used to be big sales forces, huge sales forces visiting doctors, pharmacies, etc. All big pharma is minimizing their sales forces because you can do, instead of going from door to door, from doctor to doctor, and having a meeting, you can have a meeting like we are having a meeting. I mean, we are sitting in Scandinavia having sales meeting with dietitians in Canada, and we are not there, but we can do it as good as if we were sitting in front of each other. Of course, I make it simple, but the idea is that you can do a lot of things much faster with less people. So maybe you don't even need an education in medicine to do it because you can have it with the help of the artificial intelligence. You can have a knowledge hub giving the answers directly. Let's say, the Google's notebook, for instance, you can upload thousands of pages of difficult clinical documentation. and you can have a summary, you could ask questions, and you could have the answer immediately, what's really in those studies. That's amazing. It goes quick, so you don't need, you
Mm-hmm.
could have another person who is more specialized in the social thing, how to distribute the knowledge instead of having the knowledge. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe there will be other constellations between the big pharma, small pharmaceutical company, and digital companies. If you go to the international pharmaceutical congresses today, you can see a lot of exhibitions from digital companies offering the service. And maybe
Yeah.
you can look at the big digital companies that have huge amount of money, maybe more money than the pharmaceutical industry. So who knows? Maybe the pharmaceutical companies will be parts of the big, huge digital companies because they can use the knowledge they have, they can find the customers, they can make the medicine. They're working parallel together. Of course, the big pharma have the money to build up their own department, but again, they are very often slow. There is a lot of restrictions in a big organization. So maybe we will
Mm-hmm.
see a different constellation between pharmaceutical companies and digital companies. Maybe small companies and big digital companies competing with the big pharmaceutical companies in a new marketplace.
Wow, that'd be super. Yeah, that'd be super interesting. And where does GHN fit in between all of this? Where do you guys position yourself in the market and the services that you provide and the people that you help? How do you kind of navigate yourself through the landscape?
First of all, the international part of GHN, where it's a non-profit organization with members in 90 countries, because you need to be, you need to know what's happening everywhere. And this is, the pharmaceutical is in a way relatively small family. And it's one of the most expensive part of a state's money. It's taking care of the healthcare. So if something is happening somewhere in the world, it will happen to you very soon if it hasn't already been there. So one thing is to find the trends, having the ideas. And here's a lot of people with specialists from all over the world who could help each other in develop new ideas, test new ideas, catch new ideas, not least in marketing, in communication. So that's one part. The other one is the locals, where you have the global influence of information, ideas, and you take that to the local market, like we doing in the Nordic. It's 4 or 5 countries. It's 25 millions, half of the population, not even the half of the population in UK, but there are 4 language, different culture.
Mhm.
But we can bring the international trends locally with the help of the global presence and the local presence. I call it global. You need to be global and local. So that's what we are trying to
Mhm.
do. Even
Amazing.
now,
No, go ahead.
now I say even a small market can be of interest. I mean, we have a high consumption, so the total market of pharmaceuticals in Norway is quite high, even though it's 25, 30 million inhabitants. But it's also a prestige market, has been for a long time. A lot of the big pharma has been doing a lot of clinical studies in the Nordic area because the result has been trustworthy. You have not been able to buy your results. So the results coming from those studies are recognized to be quite honest and serious. So that's why they have a presence here. So when big producers, even if, of course, the big five in Europe that would like to be on that market where they earn money, they are very often very eager to be in the Nordic area too. And sometimes it's too expensive for them to build up their own organization for countries, even if it's, I mean, small amount of people. Small countries are saying they're doing the same and at the same time doing the opposite. So you need to be present in each country, and that can be too expensive for the big pharma. Therefore, we are there. We are present in the Nordic countries. So we bring in their products. We take care of everything for them. So their product have a market in Scandinavia. We take care of the discussions with the authorities. We finance them. We market their products, and they are present. without being present.
And in terms of the Nordic healthcare market, what kind of misconceptions do people have? Well, how is it different, I guess, to the rest of the world? And you mentioned some of the products that you brought. I think we spoke about some oncology products and hematology products that you have brought to the Nordic region. How was this process, and how is it differing from, let's say, the healthcare system in America or the pharmaceutical
I
system in
wouldn't
America?
say it's different. We have a lot of regulation, maybe more strict regulation than some other countries. But what I was mentioned before is more there's a relatively high standard of research. There is an old tradition. There is a lot of global, very interesting pharmaceutical companies in Nordic. I mentioned Novo before, Astra today owned by UK companies, and Hesle. I mean, there has been a tradition of development and also involving the healthcare sector, to, to clinicians, to doctors, to researchers. So the result from clinical studies performed in the Nordic area is recognized internationally as very trustworthy. It's a good marketing tool for the Big Pharma to give reference to this. But the direct marketing doesn't differ very much. I think maybe we are, as I said, a smaller market. You don't have that huge sales forces. We use technical things much more. The restriction and the regulation are very tough. So we have to find new ways in a way that could be of interest for the big companies to see the trends in the small markets.
And do you go more a digital first approach with the marketing, or do you go for more traditional routes such as
We're trying
retail?
to use the new technique. As I said, we use a lot of digital. What you used to do is printing a lot of material, which cost a lot of money. You have digital books today, e-books,
Yeah,
where you can make a change directly. Because if you make, let's say, a folder of 25 pages with beautiful colored pictures, etc., and then when you printed it, something is happening. You have to reprint the whole. I mean, if you have it on the digital ebook, you can change it, and they can download it directly. So and of course it goes much quicker,
yeah,
and also contact. You can make visits like this.
yeah, yep, yep. And in terms of like the digital landscape, in terms of marketing, do you come across a lot of maybe restrictions in terms of how you can market the product, as well as regulations obviously around it, and the wording that you can use? I think a lot of people see, for the audience, see those kind of products being launched, and they might think, what is kind of the step-by-step process of going for and tackling the digital landscape when you're marketing a product?
Marketing pharmaceuticals anywhere in the world is very restricted. I mean, there is a lot of authorities checking every step you're taking. So it should be like that because you handle products that could be misused, very dangerous. So it must be controlled, and it
Mhm.
really is. And also from the other side, from the doctors. I mean, when you go to the doctor and you have a medicine, you must be able to trust that he's giving you the medicine that you need because of your illness, not because of a pressure from a big pharma company behind. It must be very serious, and he must, everything that you're doing, everything you're saying must be very well documented. I mean, the pharma companies are making a lot of clinical studies which cost a lot of money, and they must do it because that's maybe one of the most important competitive tools you have. If you're not trustworthy, no one dares to talk to you. So of course it's regulated by a lot of authorities, very restricted. To be able to sell the pharmaceutical, you must be approved, regularly checked by authorities that you're following the rules and regulations. You have quality programs taking care of what could happen. Yeah, layer by layer by layer, and it's becoming more and more price regulations. I mean, it's costly. The healthcare sector is one of the most costly parts of the government's expenses. So of course, and yeah, regulation. Of course, you can put a price, but then the authorities say if you having that price, we don't give reimbursement. If you would like to have reimbursement for your product, meaning that the patient can use it and have a reimbursement from the authorities, you are not allowed to have any price. We give you a suggestion to price. If you accept it, you have a reimbursement. If you don't accept it, you have to try to sell your products anyway, and nobody will buy it probably. because they can't afford. Some of the medicines today are very expensive. You are able to treat a lot of patients, which not so many years ago didn't have a chance to survive. But the treatment can cost enormously with money. So there is an ethical problem. If you have specific oncology disease, probably with very expensive medicines, you can be kept alive with a good quality of life for 3, 4, 5 years. But sometimes it totally destroys the budget for a hospital. So what you do? Should you say to the patient, if you would like to have the best treatment that could save you, you have to pay for it yourself? Well, probably they don't have a chance to do it. So there is some problems. The insurance companies coming in. Look in the US, where you could have a medicine prescribed, but you can't afford to take it. So they a lot of regulations and a lot of play.
Yeah. No, and honestly, it's for the better, as you said. All of it is as long as you can go through all of the hoops, it's for a reason, and everything that comes out the other side is normally regulated and for the betterment of the patient. Amazing. So in terms of kind of getting into more specifics about your company and walk me through what happens when a new partner might want to join your network. Who's involved and how do you kind of shape their go-to-market strategy together?
Normally, it depends on what geographical area. They take a contact with GHN or we meet them on one of the international fairs. Let's say, take it to Scandinavia where we have the local company too. But I mean, members have local companies in Australia, in Latin America, in US, etc. But let's take for Scandinavia. We have a contact with a producer. As I said, it could be quite expensive for them to build up their own organization in 4 different countries for a relatively small market. So they could be of interest for them to have a partner. We are the partner for them. So there is a discussion. We signed a contract for 5 years maybe, where everything is defined. We sell the product in their name via our network with our people, with our regulatory people, with our salespersons, etc., take care of everything. The product will be in our stock and we distribute it to the pharmacies in the Nordic area. And for that, we have a margin of, let's say, if we're selling for 100, maybe our margin is 40 to do all these things, and the rest goes to the producer. And of course, we work very close together,
Amazing.
making monthly meeting, quarterly meeting. We make business plans every year, how to handle their products and agree upon it. So that's important. They produce, we distribute.
Yeah. No, I love it. And I think a lot of businesses, entrepreneurs nowadays, they engage in more shorter term engagements as well. And I love that you set a timeline of 5 years, which is much more realistic in
Yeah,
markets
normally,
like
I
yourself.
mean, again, the life cycle, as I said before, new medicines, even if you have a unique medicine, the life of that medicine is shorter today than it used to be because it's coming new products on the same line. And as we said, with the help of artificial intelligence, you can use all the data and you can minimize the time to bring up a competing product. We call them Me Too products. Me Too, I can do the same, but I am not identical, meaning that the original producer can't protect his product by patent because the other product is very close but not identical. It's Me Too. I can do the same, I can do it better, I can probably do it cheaper. So that's one situation. Another is something we call generic. When a product, the patent has ceased to be, it's over, you don't have the patent anymore. Anyone can make a copy of that. And I do a copy, and of course, they don't have the long research costs, so they can sell it to a lower price. And the authorities said the winner takes it all. For instance, in Scandinavia, in Sweden and in Denmark, the lowest within one segment of treatment, the lowest product have 100% of the market for a specific time. And then there is a new round. So when the generic is coming in, they're trying to take down the prices, and the original producers have to follow, or they are out of the market. So that's number two. And then you have something which is, let's say, a little of the authorities pee in the bed. Start with very warm and then very cold. And that's called parallel import. You see, some states, you can take in Europe, the pharmaceutical companies has sold their medicine to a lower price due to finance of that country, for instance. So then companies in other areas, like in UK, like in Scandinavia, and Germany, France, they go to these countries and buy the medicine to a low price, and they import it to their own country so they can sell it to a low price and they buy it on the spot market. Maybe one country that is overstocking of some of the products, they can buy it cheap. And then they go into their own area and sell it to a lower price. But that doesn't have any obligations. If there are any mistake, any problems, it's the original producer who have the responsibility. So of course, they don't need people to take care of that. They don't need all these restrictions, so they can sell it to a lower price. And then the authorities give him priority because, again, it's cheaper. They save money in the short term. But the big original producers, they say, why should we have a reserve stock? Because when they are going in, we don't have all the statistics. So they are selling, buying on the spot market, selling for 1, 2, 3, 4 months, and then they don't have the product. And then it's the responsibility for the producer of the product, the original producer, to have all these products in stock. But of course, during the time they can't sell because the parallel importer is disturbing the market. They don't earn money, they have only cost. So they try to minimize the stock of this product. And then suddenly, when the parallel importer can't find the products, they have no obligation, no restrictions. So they say, sorry, we don't have the product anymore. Then the hospitals turn to the original producer, and the original producer don't have this huge stock, so they can supply directly. So if you go to the country by country by country in Europe today, it's a big problem. There is not sufficient with medicine within certain areas because it's difficult to build up the stock not knowing when you can sell it because the parallel importer is going in between. The authorities are screaming and say, you must, this is not acceptable, you must have the product in charge. So they have, as I said, they have pee in the bed. They earn a lot of money because they can buy medicine cheaper. But in the long term, it's cold, and it's starting to be cold for a lot of authorities. They don't say this is the reason. They try to explain it with a lot of other things, but this is one of the main reasons for the situation we have here and there in Europe today.
Yeah, that's super interesting. Some people play by the rules and some people don't, and it's forcing the market to go down. And what does this do for the end goal, the patient? Is this beneficial for the patient,
No, I
or do you
mean, the
think it's more
patient have the
detrimental?
medicine on a reimbursement, even if they have the original substance. But I suppose you are going to the pharmacy sometimes and they say, we have this product and we have this product, they are identical. This one is cheaper. Which one would you like to have? If you have to pay it yourself, of course. If you say, is it absolutely to say yes, then I take the cheaper one. But for the authorities, as I said, they have the winner takes it all. In Sweden, for instance, every month there is a kind of a tender. You have, say, in a certain indication area, there is a number of products who can do more or less the same. And the authority says for the next month, this product is the only one that shall be sold because that's the only one who have the lowest price. The winner takes it all. The other one, they're not selling anything at all.
Yeah.
And of course, if you're coming in then with very low prices for a certain period, this process is totally disturbed. It's very difficult. So
Yeah, yeah, man. I feel yeah, for these companies, they're doing it for if they're coming at lower prices. I'm sure their costs are also lower, but it's more of a short-term kind of mindset with bringing it to market because they're going in for the quick cash. I guess that's super super interesting. I guess a lot of people wouldn't even think of that. This kind of competition that goes on behind the scenes and how easily
suppose you have
replicable medicines are.
innovation in other areas
And
too,
I guess moving on
not
to
only in medicine, that you are buying other market and bring it in and sell it,
true.
let's say behind.
Very true. Yeah, very true. Yeah, most people would think maybe in pharma that this wouldn't happen, that there's rules and regulations in place, but I guess no industry's different from the other. People are people at the end of the day, and people will do what people will what benefits
So
them to do.
you have
And
a reason to be worried sometimes. That's the problem for your stomach. You have the original product, you have the
yeah,
generic problem, you have the Me Too product, and you had the flying rats, the paladin waters who destroy everything.
yeah, yeah, a lot of players in the space. And I guess you touched on different markets within the pharma and within science itself. And I guess you've expanded into GHN's presence in other areas that we spoke about: oncology, dermatology, psychiatry, correct me if I'm wrong, and metabolic diseases. Which area is growing the fastest? And knowing your global presence, is there a difference in different markets where you think maybe one disease is more prevalent in this market? But yeah, and in general, I guess, which area do you think is growing
No,
the
I
fastest
mean
that you've
the
seen?
disease is as such is treated more or less in the same way. Different medicines, not all medicines are present in all markets. And there is also different therapy traditions. But again, I mean, the disease is the disease. The specialists are meeting in international conferences that discuss with each other. And the more specific a medicine is, smaller is the group. If you take some certain areas, we are in oncology, for instance, a very small indication area. These specialists, they know each other all over Europe. And so that's one kind of products. Other products are maybe products open for the general practitioners in the open care, where you take care of less advanced therapy. Here you have another kind of marketing. If you have the specialist, you need to send the specialist to talk to the specialist to be able to have a discussion on this specific area, to know everything about it on a quite high level. If you have a sales rep going out to the general practitioners, they talk maybe two, three products in different areas because the general practitioner is the first the patient is meeting. So he can decide, I can handle this, I can send the patient to a specialist. So he makes the general diagnosis. There's a lot of products he is using for the stomach, for pain, you know, all that kind of products that you need. You're healthy in 2 3 days, but you go to your doctor. I have problem with my ears. I have problem with my eyes, my throat. I'm not feeling very well. I have a cold. I have an infection. This kind of products have a different approach. It's more general information. So that's something.
Hmm. Yeah. And yeah, no, I was just gonna say, do you feel like on the back of that, rare disease focus is also on the rise? I guess portfolio
Oh yes,
diversification
I
within
mean,
pharma
not so
companies.
many years ago, the big pharma was going for what they call blockbusters. I don't think they to launch a product, you should be guaranteed that you sold for a couple of 100 million of euros or the dollars, the market. So everybody would like to have a blockbuster taking all the market. It's very costly, it's very risky, it takes a long time to develop a product. Then they're looking at orphan disease, rare diseases. There's not so many patients. So, of course, it's difficult for the research. And then the authorities is saying if you come in with products here, you have a longer patent period, you're protected for a longer time, the registration cost will not be that high. So you give a lot of favors to that area. And it has given as a result that Big Pharma and a lot of companies are putting their resources to find medicine for orphan diseases. And of course, it's very good for the patients who had an orphan disease. I mean, we are working with rare metabolic diseases. One disease is PKU, phenylketonuria. You have to diagnose, do you have any children? No, not yet. But when they're born,
Not
you
sure.
take the blood sample from the heel directly to
Not
analyze if they can metabolize different amino acids, which is a part of the protein. If you have phenylketonuria, you can't take care of PQA, phenylalanine. So if you eat something containing that, it's breaking down your brain. I mean, in not so many years, 50, 60, 70 years, all these patients came to a mental hospital for the rest of their life. Very difficult patients. Today, you diagnose it. You start directly with a specific metabolic food, you could say food, very expensive amino acids, where you take away all this dangerous part. And this patient is having this for the rest of their life. They grow up, they have a job, education, they can marry children, they have a social life. Normally, they have a work, pay taxes, instead of sitting being on a mental hospital for the rest of their life. So this is a success. So that's an orphan disease, it's a rare disease. So suddenly these patients have a life. And there are more examples of that. So of course, this is a very good, instead of yeah, quality of life, of course, but also finance for the healthcare sector. It's really worth the money to do this. So a lot of
Yeah.
big pharma is putting a lot of research into that area today.
Yeah. And from your experience, is there any kind of like favoritism that maybe the FDA or the European regulations provide to companies that are maybe going and they get rare pediatric licenses earlier? And how do you navigate that landscape with regulations and kind of making sure that your partners excel
You
in that
mean the
place if they have
different
something that's really promising?
registration departments in different countries act different? Yes, yes.
Yes,
FDA
like in different
is
countries.
recognized to be one of the toughest. They are very strict. They're very so. In some countries, you can pass in a medicine very quickly. The regulations are not that strict. In other countries, it's very difficult. And then, of course, I mean, these organizations also are they have a lot of specialists, consultants, and the consultants are very often other researchers, clinicians, experts. You know, if you put two experts together, they don't have the same opinion, because if they have, they are not experts anymore. So we have a Danish philosopher I very often quote, Pete Hagen. He said, experts having their experts fun, telling us things can't be done. And so you can have different experts in UK, Sweden, Denmark, and Norway, and they are looking into the same material, and they have five different opinions about it. So sometimes the registration is passed through in one country, but not in another country. They say we need more studies, we need more documentation, and this can go on even if you say yes, but in Sweden it's recognized to be a pharmaceutical, but our experts are a little doubtful about this. So I mean, you had this problem always, and that's normal. That is real
Yeah.
truth.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's part and parcel of the process, I guess. Something you can't avoid at the end of the day. It's gonna happen either way. And I guess now in terms of your future visions of the company and how do you we touched on AI earlier. I wonder if that's a big part of how you're leading your company forward. Do you think that AI is going to be a mainstay within the industry? How do you think it will start integrating? And do you think there's still room for that real life connection
Oh yes,
that
I
you
mean
have with the
already
network that
AI
you build?
is a very important part, and it's coming into the companies. It goes faster in the smaller companies than in the bigger, because there are too many borders in the big, and you try to protect. But look at in other areas, big companies where they are getting rid of a lot of people. I mean, in the future, you don't need maybe lawyers the same way as we do today. You don't need the commercial. Making a commercial campaign, making a video, making a podcast, you can make a podcast if you go to Notebook, you know, the Google program, and you can upload a lot of
Hmm.
material, and then the program is making a podcast of that material. I mean, commercial campaigns, you don't have to pay a lot of money to the commercial agents anymore. You can do it yourself. Logistic, you have big logistic departments. There is a lot of very good programs who could take care of that. Finance, you have people doing a budget. Not so many years ago was a hell. It took a long time. And when the budget was ready and someone saw something mistake in one part of it, you didn't start from the beginning. You just closed your eyes and hope nobody should see it. But today, how you can see it, you press a button on your computer and everything is recalculated in seconds. So I mean, with the AI, they don't make mistakes. They will make the figures 100% from the beginning. You can calculate everything. So I mean, in the practical marketing, we don't need a lot of sales force, big sales forces. You need maybe 1 or 2 persons in a big region, maybe half of Europe, 2, 3 countries. You don't work in a district where you go out in your car in the morning and go visit hospitals. You visit countries. You visit specialists in the different countries. Every hospital today have a committee recommending what kind of products should be used. And the specialists in that committee are the important person to visit because they give the recommendations. So you don't need to visit all the GPs because they are forced to follow the recommended lists, more or less. So why should you pay 50 reps visiting doctors when the doctors don't decide what they should use anyway? Maybe I'm taking it a little to the corner, but the direction is very clear. That's why I read an article about
Yeah.
some of the gurus in oil said very soon we have multi-billion companies run by one person.
Yeah. It's not too far away, like in terms of with the trends we see as well and being kind of AI facing for ourselves. We speak to a lot of these healthcare companies and a lot of them, the big ones are integrating, but even the ones that are integrating
Yeah.
because it's moving so fast, they still feel behind. So like it's changing week on week and it's very fast progress. I think we'll reach a point where it will be a kind of an agentic person, as you said, like one person will lead the marketing department, one agent will lead the sales department, and then an overseer will just manage those different agents. Now, who knows? Yeah, who knows how
No,
far that is?
I,
Hopefully not too
like we
soon,
discussed earlier,
because
also, I
then a lot
mean,
of people,
education.
yeah,
I read another article also about today. When you hire new people, one important part of your CV is if you can work with artificial intelligence, if you are used to it. Even if you have a very
hmm
high exam in other areas, that's not the same interest. You need a person who could work with it. And I mean, take ChatGPT. You can make it very good if you talk directly the right word and the right conditions. Or you could have a stupid answer or nothing, no answer at all if you do it wrong, if you use the wrong prompts. So again, if you are a specialist, you can do a lot without. If you're not a specialist, you can't. It doesn't matter if you are a degree in medicine, in pharmacology, and a lot of other things, because that knowledge we already have in our computer. If you have a good AI guy helping you, you can find these answers much quicker and very objective. Because if you have a
hmm
knowledge,
yeah,
if you are an expert, to be an expert is, of course, you should know something that not everybody else know. So you have to make it a little more complicated than it is.
hmm
As I said, if you think this is easy, just wait until I explain. And that's an expert. And they don't want everybody to know exactly the same thing as they do, because then they are not experts anymore. So they fight against it. We have it in computer.
yeah. A lot of people show resistance towards it. I heard something in China that they're actually from next year, all the
Yeah.
kids will have to start learning about curriculum about AI. So it's in their schools now as well, which is crazy. It is the future. Like it's unavoidable, and the people who show resistance to it will be left behind. I'm sure the same happened with the internet and the dot-com bubble. It's going to repeat in a very similar kind of way, and all these like big events lead to
Look at
big
the kids
changes.
today. I mean, not good. I don't think it's good that they're always sitting. I've had my grandchildren here for a week visiting us, and I mean, every free time they have a computer in front of them. I don't think it's so good. But anyway, it's a part of their life. So for them, this is not any complications
Mm,
to work with it. Another thing which is very interesting here is becoming, we talk feminism today. Because if you go to the high school, the universities, the majority is going further studies are women today. Women, and we can see from statistics, are not as interested in computer, digital, artificial intelligence, etc., as the boys are. So even if they have a big and beautiful exam,
mm,
they are not compatible because again they must start learning, and there is
mm,
a resistance. And you have seen it again and again and again. And then they say they're not giving the same opportunity. Yes, they are. But in some way they have a restrictions, bigger restriction, I should say. Not everybody. I mean, there are of course differences, but in general, and we can see it by statistics. So it's absolutely true. And in the long term, that's a problem for
Yeah.
being equal, because the one who know the digital world will rule the world, will rule the companies.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. It's a shift that's been happening where a lot of it was more front facing in the last few years. A lot of people who were the highest in power were the ones that could speak the best, could present them the best. But now it might be the case that, yes, that's important, but some of the people who have been working hard, like the developer side of things, and as you mentioned, some of the more people who might not get the front line, those are the ones that will really take off and start leading the companies, the Elon Musk's,
There's of
those
course a
people of the
risk with
world,
this, that you stop
which is
thinking
interesting.
yourself, you're the computer, and you don't have the, let's say, just you
Yeah.
don't really ask, is this true? Could it be a false? Could it be something ChatGPT is just finding out? Because they do so.
Mhm.
I mean, still, it might be better, but you always need to have this common sense to say, this can't be true. This is really, and sometimes when you're asked if you have a funny answer from ChatGPT or some of those programs, they admit it. Oh, yes, sorry, good that you said it. But they are finding out because they like to please us. They don't like to say, we don't know.
It's just a yes man at the moment. I like how it says now at least. At least it says this might not be true, check. Now it says that at least. Yeah, so there's some but at the bottom of some searches they've included that because I think people were
Yeah,
taking it for
they are
verbatim and not
dangerous.
really
When the car
cross-checking with
came,
anything
I
else.
know from England, there was a rule saying that if a car was driving, there would a guy who should go in front with a lamp when they started, because of the risk someone was hurt. I mean, every
Hmm.
time a new epoch starts, everybody are talking about the risks, not the possibilities. I mean, this is maybe the biggest
Hmm.
change we
Hmm.
have had in our history, maybe since we invented the wheel. And is it 2 3 years in ChatGPT came 2 years in November, 2 years ago or 3 years
Yeah.
ago? It's nothing. It's yesterday. And already you're using it, probably you're using it
Hmm.
every day. Companies are built around the technique. Very soon the technique will be built around the companies instead.
Yeah, yeah, it's genuinely unavoidable. And new companies, like most companies are starting initiatives, but it's interesting. We find that a lot of these companies, 80% of them actually don't end up implementing it properly because they think it's like the thing to implement for them, but then they don't understand necessarily how to. Which again is only a matter of time before that AI information also becomes so easy to use as simple as a Google search. You can say, "Hey, build me a marketing department," and it will build the marketing department for them in one search. So it's a matter of time. Within 5 years, I think a lot of these companies will build the agentic where they can think autonomously for themselves and not even need input and learn the data from them. But I guess tying it back into your future plans, let's say fast forward 2 3 years, you can wave a magic wand. What would success look like for you guys as a company, whether that's in AI or whether that's just in general, and
I
what are your
think
kind of future goals?
as we have been discussing, using the new possibilities, there is the success. And being, it's always like that. When you start, when you're try to be in the front line, it's good, but it's also a little dangerous because you make all the mistakes. The one coming behind you is learning from your mistakes, but coming a second is a much bigger risk than making mistakes. And making mistakes, everybody has said it, so and it's true. Making mistakes is active learning. It's really active learning. If you choose to be number two because you don't want to make mistakes, you will always be number two, or maybe you'll be number three, four, or five. If you allow yourself to be in the front and make the mistakes, you will always continue to make mistakes, but you will probably always be in the front. And I think that's for our local companies, of course, it is to be attractive for producers, for the big producers saying, oh, look here, why should we take care of that product ourselves? It costs much more money for us to do. We pay them to take care of our product. They can do it more efficient. So being very efficient. So that's the local part, of course. And international for our network, when they should do something new, instead of building up a department or hiring persons in different countries, maybe we can get in touch with this global network and be helped. Because there is people sitting. You can make marketing investigation from your computer today, but you read the lines. Being present on the spot, you can read between the lines and still can't read what's in between the lines. Sometimes it's what's between the line that decides the outcome. So having people in different places of the world knowing the local decision processes and discussion is really much more effective than building up a department of your own. And as soon as a company is starting to grow, it becomes slow. We have been working with companies who was extremely innovative, product after product, and they grow very rapidly. And when they grow very rapidly, they start to hire a lot of people. And if they are new in the pharmaceutical area, they say, we need some experts. Where can we find experts? We have to go to the Big Pharma because they must have experts as they are big. And then they bring the old ideas into their new organization because these people having the old ideas. And then suddenly it goes like that. And now you have a lot of competition because these new persons coming into that organization is fighting in between. They have to they have to pee their spot. So suddenly the speed is slowing down, and that's dangerous, especially today.
Yeah. Amazing. I guess to round off as well in terms of your personal motivation, your leadership team, everyone around um, you've been in the industry for a long while. What kind of keeps you motivated and at the front line of innovation, and pushing for better
Please
patient
repeat
access and
the
better
question.
market innovation? Yeah, no worries. Yeah. So what motivates you in terms of your personal motivation in order to keep getting better market access for better patient access, apologies, and market innovation? What's your personal motivation and maybe the personal motivation
Curiosity.
that you
I mean,
see
I've been
of
50 years in the
your colleagues around
pharmaceutical
you?
industry, and I don't need to work, honestly. But it's so exciting because, as I said, we started to discuss something is happening all the
Mm.
time, and it goes so fast. And I'm really curious what it will lead us to. And I would like to have a few years more to learn what will happen because I was from the beginning when it started. And I would like to see this development. So I'm not going to retire yet. Hopefully for a long time. I don't know. Maybe too late tomorrow. But anyway, I would like to see because I think that will happen a lot of interesting things. Also for the benefit of patient of the healthcare sector. We will have more effective medicine, more personalized medicine maybe for a specific person. You shouldn't go to pharmacy and buy a
Mm.
medicine made for everybody. You should go to the pharmacy and have a medicine for you. You should say medicine for Shoroya on the package. And you will soon have it. It will be possible to make individual medicine for your individual
Yeah.
disease with your individual need. That's interesting. And we can do it. We can do it already today, but it's too expensive. But it will
Yeah.
be much
Yeah.
cheaper with the help of artificial intelligence.
Yeah. Honestly, that's a big trend that we see when we interview all the healthcare founders. Recurring trend is personalized medicine. It's kind of like the thing that everyone is striving towards and having it as personalized as possible. So I definitely think that's where the industry
It
is
has to happen.
heading,
I mean,
whether it's now
probably you will
or
have a
in 5 years, but it has to happen.
copy, a biological copy of yourself, where we can test new medicine to see if it works for you. If it works on your biological copy, you can have it and survive. Don't have the a lot of side effects, instead only the positive. I
Yeah.
mean, there are enormous possibilities to use.
Yeah. No, amazing. No, Roland, thank you so much. This has been a remarkable look into a lot of the challenges, opportunities, and growing landscape within the global pharmaceutical space and in general healthcare systems. And I guess final question for those listening who face similar hurdles in health and life sciences in the world, other companies that might be striving to achieve what you achieve, what would be one
Be
lesson that you would
curious,
share with them
don't be
today?
afraid. I mean, changes are almost always positive, even if it hurts in the beginning.
Yeah. I guess that ties into your point with the keep on betting on yourself. I think Jeff Bezos said it himself. He's like, you can have 10 bets, you might lose 9 of them, but
Do
then the
it.
one
Don't
is the real
hesitate.
winner,
This
and it
speed.
really innovates
Do
for you.
it. Do it today, not tomorrow. Exactly. If you wait tomorrow, not someone.
Someone else will.
A lot of other people will do it. And then you're not unique anymore. And you are unique.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, no, and if any of the listeners want to follow your journey
They
and
should
connect with GHN
go to our
Pharma,
website,
where should they go?
ghnpharma.com or ghnnordic.com, ghnnordic.com or ghnpharma.com. GHN Pharma is the global network. We have companies coming to us every month presenting themselves just to have a discussion, because we have a lot of, if you look at the website, you can see there is a lot of experience in the international pharma, and that could be worthwhile for having a discussion with these people. Maybe they can be helped.
And if any of the audience listening had any insights, comments about it, please reach out directly, or you can leave a comment and then we can continue conversations there. But thank you so much for joining us, Roland, and giving us kind of the window of insights into GHN Pharma and helping how you help shape the future of pharma access and partnership.
Thank you for an
But
interesting
again, really
discussion. I
appreciate you
really
jumping on,
appreciate
and
it. Thank you.
take care. Amazing.